Hey, I'm Willie, and if you need something to make you feel better about your own relationship, just stick with me. Let me take you on the emotional roller coaster that was my marriage to Monica. Monica and I met 6 years ago, back when everything felt full of possibilities. She was vibrant, driven, and always had everything under control. Whenever she walked into a room, it was like everyone else was vying for a role in her spotlight. As for me, I was the quiet guy, pretty good with computers, decent at talking to people, but awful at remembering my mom's birthday. Somehow, though, Monica seemed to like me. She always said she appreciated my stability, though sometimes it felt like a nice way of calling me boring. When we tied the knot, life was good. I had my coding job, where half the challenge was proving I wasn't a robot, and she had her graduate degree and a corporate job where she managed people. We'd joke about our jobs. I'd call middle managers roadblocks to success, and she'd roll her eyes, explaining why people like her were so essential to the system. We thought our differences were just enough to keep things interesting. For a while, it worked. We cooked meals together, binge-watched crime shows, and argued over who would take out the trash. Life felt stable. But then came the lockdowns. If you've ever wondered how being stuck in close quarters can turn a marriage into an escape room, let me tell you, it happens quicker than you think. We both started working from home, which sounds like a dream, until you realize you're not just roommates, you're coworkers sharing a bathroom. I turned one of our spare rooms into my office, while Monica took over the other. That's when things started to get odd. I'd still get up, shower, shave, and put on a suit, even though only our cat would see me. Monica? She'd roll out of bed, throw on sweatpants, and start answering emails with one hand while playing Candy Crush with the other. It felt like we were living in completely different time zones. Mine being suit up and get to work, and hers being relax o'clock. At first, we laughed about it. But soon, those jokes turned into little digs. "Oh, you're so professional," she'd say with a half smile. Or, "Do you really need to close your office door for a 15-minute meeting? Are you hiding something?" I try to explain that I needed quiet to concentrate, but she'd just brush it off like I was overreacting. It began to feel like we were just two people who happened to share a mortgage, but not much else. Then came the time when her office reopened. Monica was eager to return, and I didn't blame her. Working from home wasn't her thing, and besides, her company was following all the safety protocols. But once she was back at the office, it was like she never really came home. She started staying late, telling me she was catching up with colleagues or networking. And by networking, I mean hanging out with her boss, Damien, drinking wine at his apartment. Red flag? More like a full-blown parade. Then, one weekend, came the iPad incident. She dropped her old tablet on my desk and asked me to wipe it so she could give it to her niece. I agreed, like the good tech guy I am. But when I powered it on, there they were, messages, photos, and videos between Monica and her boss, Damien. Yeah, his name is Damien. Of course it is. And no, they weren't sharing recipes. Let me make myself clear, this wasn't something I was meant to see. But for some reason, I felt the need to check the entire device before wiping it. Maybe it's just that annoying habit of mine where I never want to lose anything important. I can't even describe the feeling when I saw what was there. It was like someone pulled the plug on my reality. I copied everything, the texts, the photos, the videos, and saved it all in my cloud. Then, I called a lawyer. After that, I hired a private investigator to dig deeper. I'll admit it, I've always wanted to be a detective's client. Too many crime movies, I guess. The following weeks were surreal. Monica acted like everything was fine, like we were still living in our little domestic bubble. Meanwhile, my lawyer and private investigator were gathering all the evidence we'd need to move forward with a divorce. At first, I played it cool. But then, the night before we were going to file, something inside me snapped. That night, Monica came home late again. She walked in like she'd just finished filming her own romantic drama, nonchalant and barely glancing at me. I don't even remember what she said. It was probably something like, "Don't wait up," or "It's been a busy day." But this time, I wasn't going to let it go. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I hope those networking sessions with Damien were worth it." She froze for a moment, and then her mask slipped. Her voice turned sharp. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. "Oh, don't pretend, Monica. I saw the messages, the pictures, the videos. Did you honestly think I wouldn't check before wiping the iPad?" Her face went cold. Then she laughed. "Let me know if you need any adjustments or further parts." She actually chuckled. You think you're going to leave me? She asked, her voice thick with disdain. Willie, honey, you're fooling yourself if you think you can just walk away. Let me make it clear for you. If you try, I'll take half of everything, your paycheck, your savings, even the house. All that will be left for you is that old, dusty computer of yours. The jab about the computer stung more than it should have, especially since I had a brand new MacBook. But she wasn't done. Face it, you're stuck with me, she continued. At least if you stay, you'll get something out of it. Occasionally, a little intimacy. But you'll have to behave, be a good boy. That word, occasionally, felt like a slap across the face. I just stood there, dumbfounded, while she smirked and walked away, heading to bed as if she had won some kind of victory. I stayed up all night in my office, staring at the walls, replaying the words she had said. How had the woman I married turned into this? The next morning, I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. File the papers, I told him, and make it loud. When I said, make it loud, I wasn't just referring to the divorce papers. I wanted Monica to feel every ounce of the betrayal she had dished out to me. I wanted her to experience it, served right back at her, on a silver platter. My lawyer, bless his heart, tried to talk me out of it. Willie, he warned, judges don't have a sense of humor. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but it could cost you in the long run. Are you sure about this? Absolutely, I said, determined. I'm not just filing. I'm making a statement. That's when the idea for the cake was born. Now, I didn't even know you could get a cake with a custom image printed on it until my lawyer's assistant mentioned it jokingly. But once that thought took hold, there was no turning back. I placed a rush order for a huge cake, a truly outrageous one, with the most incriminating photo of Monica and Damien plastered right on top. The icing read, "Here's your cake, eat it." The process server, who honestly deserved an award for his enthusiasm, delivered the cake and the divorce papers directly to Monica's office. And of course, he made sure to do it in front of an audience. According to him, Monica was laughing with some coworkers when he walked in. Are you Monica? He asked, holding the oversized box. Yes, she said, confused. He opened the box, revealing the cake. Her face went from confusion to shock in an instant. He then placed the divorce papers beside the cake and calmly said, "You've been served." Apparently, Monica let out a screech, like a banshee had flown through the room. She knocked the cake off the table, but it landed face up on the carpet, the image still perfectly visible for everyone to see. Her coworkers, half of them too stunned to react, and the other half whispering, had a mix of disbelief and amusement. From what I hear, one even laughed. One guy yelled, "Finally, something sweet. God, I'm so sick of this diet." Damien, her boss and lover, was apparently there too. He turned white, grabbed his things, and left without a word. Within minutes, my phone was bombarded with calls, texts, and voicemails from Monica. "How could you do this to me?" she screamed in one of the messages. I didn't respond. I simply forwarded everything to my lawyer and let her sit in the mess she had created. That night, Monica didn't come home. Instead, I got a text from her mom, saying that Monica would be staying with her for the time being. Honestly, I slept better that night than I had in months. The following days, complete radio silence. Monica was holed up at her mom's place, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The house was peaceful, quiet. For the first time in a long time, I didn't have to walk on eggshells. But, of course, the peace didn't last. Saturday morning, I received a text from Monica. "We need to talk. About us." Us. As if there was still an us left to talk about. I replied with an email, lawyer's advice. "We can talk, but it will either be in my lawyer's office with your lawyer present, or here, with witnesses and everything recorded." To my surprise, she agreed. I thought she would argue or try to delay it, but she didn't. I called Mike and Amber, two mutual friends who had witnessed it all. They came over, and we set up our phones to record everything on the kitchen table. When Monica showed up, she walked in as if nothing had happened, like this was just a regular meeting. She even tried to hug me. I stopped her by raising my hand and said, "Let's skip the theatrics and get to it." At first, she cried. Big, dramatic crocodile tears. She apologized, saying she had been lost and didn't know how to fix things. I just sat there, stone-faced. Then, the blame game began. "You were never there for me, Willie. You locked yourself away in your office all the time and ignored me. We weren't even acting like a couple anymore." It felt like I was living with a roommate. Of course, I wanted more. I bit my tongue so hard that I thought it might bleed. Then, she hit me with her final card. You know you'll lose everything if you go through with this, right? Sure. Here's a rephrased version of the text, keeping the core plot, idea, and details intact, while changing the structure and adding some variation. You'll lose half your paycheck, the house, everything. Judges always favor women in these kinds of cases. You'll end up buried in debt while I move on with my life. Maybe you should think about how all this is going to reflect on you. I couldn't help but let out a laugh. You're right, Monica. This is going to look terrible for you. She blinked, clearly caught off guard, but then she quickly switched tactics. We can fix this, Willie. We just need more time. We were happy once. Don't throw all that away. I leaned forward. Monica, there's nothing to fix. It ended the moment you decided to sleep with Damien. If you want my advice, get a lawyer. And maybe start figuring out how to deal with the coworkers who've been blackmailing you. Oh, I know about that too. Good luck. Her face drained of color. For the first time during this whole ordeal, she looked genuinely frightened. But true to form, Monica couldn't resist one last jab as she stood up. You'll regret this, Willie. You'll never find anyone better than me. I smiled. Guess we'll see, won't we? With that, she stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Once Monica left, I knew I couldn't just sit around waiting for her next move. My lawyer had been very clear, protect yourself first. Emotions come later. Finances come now. The first step? Split the savings. I opened a new account in my name and transferred half of everything into it. It wasn't sneaky or underhanded. It was simply being smart. I also froze my credit and removed my name from any joint accounts that didn't require her signature. Subscriptions? Changed. Utilities? Moved to my account. Mortgage autopay? Adjusted. The house, though, was the real issue. Technically, it was ours, but there was still a significant amount left to pay. My lawyer warned that Monica would likely fight for it, either to live in it or just to get back at me. Honestly, I wasn't ready to give it up. This house had been my project, my sanctuary. I wasn't about to let her turn it into some kind of trophy, so I started looking into my options. Could I refinance the mortgage in just my name? Would it make sense to sell and cut my losses? My lawyer advised me to play it cool for now and wait to see what angle Monica would take. The thing is, Monica didn't seem to have any angle. She was too busy dealing with the fallout from her work drama. Turns out, my little cake stunt had become a gift that just kept on giving. Word spread fast at her office. Damien, her boss-turned-lover, shut down the affair immediately and told her to only contact him on business matters. From what I heard, he made it a point to avoid her whenever possible, and her so-called work friends, the ones who had been cheering her on, turned on her faster than a plot twist in a bad soap opera. One of them even started calling her Cake Girl behind her back. Ouch. The pressure took its toll. HR didn't officially intervene, but it was clear to everyone that Monica was on the outs. By the end of the week, she quit. She claimed it was to focus on her personal life, but we all knew what that really meant. Now, she was jobless, friendless, and, from what I could tell, completely overwhelmed. She had no time to prepare for the divorce because she was too busy putting out the fires in her own life. Meanwhile, I was making moves. I started consolidating my assets and planning for what life would look like after the divorce. I even began therapy, not just to deal with the mess Monica had left behind, but also to make sure I didn't carry any of this baggage into my future. Let me tell you, going to court for a divorce feels a lot like walking into a boxing match where the referee secretly hopes you'll both knock each other out. Monica walked in acting like she was auditioning for a role in a legal drama, her hair perfectly styled, her heels clicking like she owned the place. As for me, I showed up in a clean shirt and with the quiet confidence of someone who had all the receipts. My lawyer? A shark. Monica thought she had the upper hand. She was convinced she'd walk away with half of everything I owned. But to her surprise, that's not how things work when you're the one who destroyed the marriage. Thanks to the evidence we had gathered, the judge ruled that Monica wasn't entitled to spousal support. No alimony for her. None at all. I still can't understand who came up with the idea of spousal support, but it didn't matter in this case. The only good thing about not having kids is that I didn't have to worry about that aspect. Monica did get a claim on the house, though. Apparently, even if someone cheats, they can still claim a portion of the property if their name's on the deed. But here's the twist. The judge took all the evidence into account when determining her share. And because I had been meticulous about documenting my contributions to the house, Monica didn't get the 50% she had been hoping for. She got much less. I made an offer to pay her for her portion, and the judge approved it. Monica accepted because she was terrified of losing everything else. Let me know if you'd like to continue, or if there are any changes you'd like. Once everything had settled, Monica's lawyer looked like he wished he could disappear under the table. As for Monica, she had the look of someone who had just been given a participation award at the Olympics. Muttering something about the court being biased, she clearly wasn't thrilled with the outcome. But all I could think was, biased? Really? Against cheaters? That's rich. A few days later, Monica came over to collect her belongings. Let me tell you, it felt like watching a bad reality show unfold in real time. She wandered around the house as if she was bidding farewell to a longtime companion, or maybe just searching for loose change. "Oh, Willie," she said, her voice oozing with fake sincerity. "This doesn't have to be the end. We've been through so much. Maybe we could." I cut her off before she could finish. "Nope. But." "Nope," I repeated, smiling this time. She sighed dramatically and plopped down onto the couch. "We could at least stay friends. You know, for old time's sake." "Friends?" I chuckled. "Friends don't cheat." She tried again, shifting tactics. "We had some great moments, didn't we? You were always so stable, so dependable. You called me steady. Steady doesn't mean being a doormat." And then came the tears. Oh, the tears. Honestly, if I had bottled them up, I could have fixed California's drought. She begged for a second chance, claiming she was a changed person and had learned from her mistakes. "Monica," I said, leaning against the doorframe, "you're not a different person. You just have no other options left. And I'm out of patience." When she finally left, dragging her suitcase behind her, I shut the door and let out the biggest sigh of relief. It was like winning a championship game. The house was mine, my finances were safe, and Monica? Well, she was someone else's problem now. Maybe she'd find another Damien or two to wreak havoc with. But no. Monica, ever the queen of reinvention, decided to become a relationship blogger. Yes, you read that right. My ex-wife, who had single-handedly turned our marriage into a soap opera, now thought she could offer relationship advice. Her blog was something absurd like Lessons from a Love Survivor, and it was full of gems like Why Men Are the Problem and How to Spot a Steady Guy Before He Drags You Down. Of course, she didn't name me directly, but her ex sounded awfully familiar. She portrayed herself as the poor, misunderstood victim of a cold, unfeeling husband who had somehow outsmarted her in a fair divorce. One day, I stumbled upon one of her vlogs. It was a 10-minute rant titled, How to Recover After Being Gaslit by a Tech Bro. Guess who the tech bro was? Listening to her rant about my supposed scheming felt like watching someone describe a villain in a Lifetime movie. So, like any reasonable person would, I called her up. "Monica, can you not?" I said. "Oh, Willie," she replied, her voice dripping with fake innocence. "I'm just sharing my truth. You wouldn't want to silence me, would you?" "You're not sharing the truth," I snapped. "You're sharing bad fan fiction." She huffed in response. "Well, maybe if you hadn't swindled me out of my rightful share of the house, I wouldn't have to make my living this way." I ended the call before I could say something that would ruin my karma, but then inspiration hit me. If Monica craved drama, I was more than happy to deliver, with a little flair. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, Monica began receiving cakes. Big, elaborate cakes with custom images printed on them. The first cake featured me lounging by the pool, cocktail in hand, with "Life's great. Thanks for asking" written across the top. The second cake had me grinning next to the deed to the house with "Home Sweet Home" elegantly scrawled across it. Each cake came with a delivery driver I tipped extra to film her reaction, and let me tell you, the reactions were worth every penny. Monica thought these were gifts from friends or followers. She'd open the box, and her face would turn every shade of red imaginable. She'd scream, slam the lid shut, or, in one memorable instance, throw the cake into her front yard, screaming, "This is harassment." She took to her social media to vent. "My ex-husband is stalking me with cakes," she posted, including photos of the ruined cakes. Her followers were split. Half believed she was a victim, while the other half just wanted my bakery's contact information. But the best part came when I compiled all her reactions into a highlight reel. I titled it Karen versus the Cakes and set it to dramatic classical music. For context, the term Karen is internet slang for someone entitled, demanding, and prone to making a scene. Monica fit that description perfectly. It was almost like art. The video showed her screaming at the cakes, shaking her fist at the sky and throwing tantrums that would make a toddler jealous. When I posted the video and tagged her, it went viral in no time. Comments flooded in, and people couldn't get enough of the Karen energy she brought to the table. Picture being so upset over cake. Honestly, this is the most passive-aggressive move I've ever come across, and I can't help but admire it. The following morning, my phone buzzed with a message. It was Monica. "Willie, this has to end," she said, her tone sounding more defeated than I had ever heard before. "You're making a fool of me." "Oh, you mean the way you made a fool of me on your blog?" I responded, relishing the irony of it all. She let out a frustrated sigh. "Fine," she said. "I'll stop mentioning you. I'll even remove the old posts. Just end the cakes, okay?" "Deal," I answered, trying to hide the grin forming on my face. And just like that, we reached an uneasy peace. No more cakes. No more posts about the Tech Brothers. We both went our separate ways for good. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Wishing you all good vibes and plenty of luck.